Yep, yep.
Oh, yeah.
And welcome to Tavern Talk. That's right, everyone. We are a live talk show based on the epic fantasy series The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. My name is Ryan, and I got a panoply of amazing minds surrounding me. Joining me, as always, is my brother Dan.
Hi.
Jansen the Gleeman, Dad Swain Sedai, and special guest for the first time talking philosophy with y'all will be Jono from LeafCast. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Jono. Thank you for coming at such short notice, but I think you're known for that.
Yes, coming on short notice is a thing that I've been doing for a long time. My father taught me.
Okay.
That's why I always called you Squirt. Give me a squirt.
Little squirt.
Give me a little
Right,
squirt.
so yeah, we're continuing our what I am calling the Read React series, where we are discussing The Wheel of Time and Philosophy, which is a compendium of articles written by philosophers, philosophy students, and lovers of The Wheel of Time. First 3 episodes are just pumping. Everyone's enjoying it, getting so much feedback.
Sweeping the nation, right, Ryan?
Yeah. But notable comments are this show is for homosexuals.
Yeah.
And the
best gay streamers we also got.
Yeah. So no, hey.
Disappointing. I thought LeafCast was going to have best gay streamers. To lose to you guys, though, it's frustrating, but also it's an honor to be in the same category.
No,
let me say what we're talking about before we jump into anything else. Today we're talking about chapter 4 in this book called The Wheel of Time and Philosophy. And this is an essay entitled The Anti-Natalist and the Aes Sedai, Should Randall Thor Save the World? This is written by Kenneth. Let's see, what's his name? Kenneth R. Pike. And he's an assistant professor of philosophy at law at Florida Institute of Technology. He has some bona fides. It says, quote, as a teenager, he memorized poetry from Lord of Chaos. In college, he studied creative writing with Brandon Sanderson. Today, Kenneth spends most of his time imagining ways to prevent Gollum from slipping under his office door. Yay. So the guy studied with Brandon Sanderson. He knows this book, and you can tell in this essay that he knows this book pretty well. This was an enjoyable essay to read.
It was, but I felt like there were some contentions. There's 2 ways I'm going to talk about this article. One is kind of like content, and then the other is going to be like his take on the novels. I felt like he kind of made some broad, sweeping statements that we've had shows debating the things that he just like cast aside that as true. So I think he does know his stuff though, and that's great. Refreshing change from chapter 3. Jono, you've read up to date. Chapter 3 was your not favorite, huh?
That's exactly right. Having read all of its entirety in the past, absolutely, I would agree with anything and everything you say.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah, good one.
As a guest should. Damn, we gotta
have him back more often. So essentially,
this book came in the mail, and
go ahead.
anything. Yeah, no, that's it. I'm gonna be more of a disappointment than usual. Jansen, I can already tell, is like fucking idiot. I have opened it for the first time this morning, and then the second time just now. So I'm very excited.
Nice. Well,
okay,
essentially,
great.
This is dealing with natalism, and natalism is anti-natalism, rather.
Yeah.
Is the philosophy that it's better that no one should be born at all. Consciousness should cease to exist. Humanity should cease to exist because all it does is bring more suffering on a large scale and on a small scale. And there's the good that humanity does not outweigh the damage that we do overall. And that is the natalist, more or less, in a nutshell position. Don't have kids. It's actually immoral to have kids.
It's unjust. It's unjust.
Done.
You're doing a harm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dad Swain, is that difficult for you? Because by definition, your name is kind of very natalist.
Not really.
There's big Dad Swain. There's Daddy
the name.
Swain.
Yeah, the name is not
Daddy Swain.
Procreational dad,
I know,
but much more
Like
LGBT,
just like
LGBTQ
yeah, and honor it that you earned that, Dad.
I did
You earned that,
That's
Dad.
right. I'm looking at the wrong camera. There's my camera. Is that my camera?
We've talked about this theory before, especially in regards to the Forsaken. We haven't talked about it in such deep level in regards to Rand. I don't think we have. I mean, we did when we talked about the final chapter, but not on a natalist POV point of view kind of way of discussing it, I don't think. But I think this is an interesting concept to me, because you have to understand that these people, when they talk about praying for the light and rebirth of their soul and salvation, that shit does happen. They do get reborn. We have examples of rebirth going on. And so their situation is a little different than ours. Like, if we knew that if you had to have kids in order to keep this cycle going, that's one thing. I don't know if we think that. What do you? All right, so Dad Swain. I'm sorry, Jansen, talk to me. What? Yeah.
Considering what I mean, I was going to say something else, but after listening to what you said, it makes me think of the gift that the citizens of Randland had, and that is proof of afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
Religion, the thing that so many human beings have looked for throughout the entire existence of human beings is a reason why, and is this it? And where do we go after this? And it's brought people so much angst and so much anxiety that there are over 1,500 different kinds of faiths in this world that people follow to look forward to what happens next. They know in Randland that they can be reborn. Mm-hmm. It's something that, and then when that goes and to talk about this entire subject with Rand, it goes deeper, because Rand is one of the individuals that we see in the series not only that asks the question why, but asks the question why because he has that creation in the palm of his hand. He's the only one who can actually decide whether or not he can crush that or not. And then something that light appears that says we get to try again.
Yeah, and that ultimately became this author's kind of selling point to his pro-natalist view, that he basically in the end kind of like lets us know. He's like, okay, I gave you all the. He breaks down the argument, breaks down like the corollary to the novels, and then in the end he's just like, yeah, but that's all kind of crap. Like, it's all good. He goes, it's fine to have kids. My official statement is it's all good to have kids. And that was basically exactly the summary. But like, it was interesting to see how he compared the different arguments for natalism or anti-natalism to different aspects of the books. And I just want to go through some of them. Okay, he brings up David Hume. Mm-hmm. David Hume says he declares that it is not contrary to reason to prefer the destruction of the whole world to the scratching of my finger. Which I gotta read more. Some Hume. That's some humor for me. That's
good pun.
I find that humorous.
It's humongous.
Okay, so then he introduces us to a contemporary philosopher named David Benatar, who literally wrote a book about how y'all should stop having kids.
Yeah, David, hit me with your best shot.
Thank you, Pat.
No. Okay, and so the anti-natalist response to okay. I'm having a hard time kind of extrapolating the core message, because this is a dense book, but I don't mind going through it. I love the quotes here. All right, so this is important because Epicurus once argued that Epicurus from 341 to 270 BCE, so this is before Common Era, once argued that people who claim to wish they had never been born ought to either actually commit self-harm. Okay, no.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't say that on YouTube. You can't say it. That's not good on YouTube. Unalive themselves. That inflicts unnecessary suffering on oneself and others.
With the drama.
Yeah.
Yeah, or knock off the drama.
And I completely agree. I completely agree. I will say this, though. You know, we're operating under the assumption that suffrage is a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like no one ever said life was supposed to be happiness and bubblegum every single time. You know, that's our interpretation, and obviously Robert Jordan's interpretation of that, because it's like we see that in the show too, and in the books, like Darkfront saying, we've got to end it all, to stop the suffering, to end it all. But all of these characters that we see say that are bitter in some way, which is why I think Benatar was also bitter in some way. Something happened to him in his life that made him think that we should all kill everybody. And this goes to Elon Tedranai.
You're right.
We all should die.
This does hold hands with nihilism, right? If we think what?
No, I would continue, and then I'm so sorry. Go on. I have thoughts on that.
Okay. This does hold hands with nihilism if you believe that there is no purpose, that everything is meaningless in the future, then it is a further step to just say, well, let's eliminate humanity from this horrible nothingness that is life, which I think is valid to certain points. I mean, nihilism, I think, even the idea of, well, God, Ryan, you go ahead and take over. I know you have thoughts, but
so nihilism is can be more thought of as like the absence of meaning, right? And so the idea, and an anti-natalist approach is literally someone's attempt at being morally just. They're looking at all factors, and they're trying to make the most unbiased output to all the data that is modern life. And they're saying at this point, if you don't see how much suffering there's in the world, you're biased. You're not able to see clearly, because this is a hard truth to look at. And they're saying it's literally more just to do this than not. Whereas a nihilist would be like, what is just? And those concepts are dumb to them anyways. They don't even want to go down that road.
So what happens when someone who's in charge starts having this philosophy?
Oh no! Well, yeah. What would happen if we have we have an anti-natalist world leader? Shit. I think
it's happened.
Well, I mean, yeah, they've been trying to selectively get people to breed in different ways for a long time. They do a lot of weird shit, but
It's eugenics, specific eugenics.
Yes. No, and we don't. That's a whole nother.
That's a fun topic there, right?
Well, yeah, that's
Um,
yeah. And if we talk society, then you absolutely have to be pro-natalist because you need a working class. You need new workers. You can't just
AI.
cut off the supply.
Well, we have an example. I guess China at one point was kind of like, there's too many of us, so
Well,
you can only have one. To try to.
We can tie this and look back to the books and look back to Robert Jordan and the Wheel of Time, where you can see why this line of thinking can be so dangerous. If somebody in charge has this line of thinking, and this is also why everybody having a choice is what is good.
There was
when Rand tried to make everybody do this, he saw how everything was.
Yeah, that's the last battle. Like that as the real last battle is what that is. And I quickly skimmed this and I was surprised, and maybe my memory is foggier than usual. I have been drinking since like 1:30, or I just can't skim very well. But there's one point, I think it's in either book 13 or 14, where Rand kind of has this inward moment with quote unquote Lews Therin about how doing it, he can do it better this time. And that's very pro-natalist, and that's not in here, even though that to me is the antecedent for the entire last battle of that realization. So I would have thought that would have played into this again, unless I misremembered where it was or just misskimmed it.
Is that when he said I was raised different?
No, he said that to Min when he comes back.
After the realization.
Min and Catsuin.
Yeah. The realization, if I remember correctly, does that happen on, because Jansen, you'll remember, does that happen on Dragon Mount?
Yes. And it happens with Perrin watching.
Yeah.
Like a good dog.
Yeah, just sitting there slowly cranking.
Happens with Perrin watching.
If we look at the books and anyone that has a predominantly anti-natalist point of view that is mentioned is a dark friend or a Forsaken. It is considered a negative point of view. In fact, it's considered evil. And the only way it seems to fulfill it is to follow the Great Lord himself. Do you think this is a fair representation of natalism?
It is, but you also can think of it this way too. We also saw a dark friend use this to try to cleanse himself of guilt with Ingtar.
Yes.
So it could be used in a lot of different ways.
But would you say Ingtar is anti-natalist necessarily? I would not. He uses that kind of the inevitability of as a rationalization.
Yeah.
But he still wants future generations.
And so this is where this conversation gets slippery for me, and this is one of my criticisms of this whole article. Like, we're literally talking about a very specific choice. Like, it would be an agreement amongst all sentient humans that they would not have any more babies, that we'd all just live out our lives as best we can and not suffer, and only suffer when we die, right? And then that's it. So, which is very different than any of the Forsaken are not talking about that. They're talking about ruling. They're talking about slavery. They're talking about like mass.
One is.
Well,
one of them is. One's thinking about no struggling whatsoever, but the rest, yeah.
No,
So we had Morden who's all like, "Oh, it's going to be the end of everything. It's going to be the end of the wheel." Blah blah.
Beautiful.
Like, and then when we get to the last battle, so were they all just wrong? They were all wrong, right? Like that was not the Dark One's plan ever. The Dark One, right? Am I right? Like, yeah, he can't. Is it because he can't do it?
I don't think he wants to. Not that it's necessarily a sentient he per se, but I don't think the Dark One wants to because what the fuck does he like? What's the purpose there of just having nothingness?
Well,
that was one of the options the Dark One gave him.
Yeah, but we know what the Dark One wants. The
rule
very
his
first
image.
thing and the very last thing he tried is harder to anything to get. ran to join him.
Mhm.
Because
He's just
Rand
got a hard on
told
for
him,
Rand.
Rand told Ishmael in the sky, I know now, in 1,000 lives, I've never joined you. You know, he's never happened. And then remember at the very end in Knife of Dream, or no, in Memory of Light, he even asked the Dark One to his own face, has it ever happened? Has anyone ever joined you willingly for something that wasn't power or anything like that?
Yeah.
You know, it was like, it was never, ever about me. It was about them. And no one ever willingly joined the Dark One. No one ever, the closest thing was Moradin.
Yeah.
And that's why the Dark One would never let him go.
Yeah.
So when Rand's battling the Dark One, he goes through this whole thing like, oh, this is for a woman who lost all of her powers and became a washerwoman. This is for this guy. This is for this woman. This is for, like, every one of those people went through the worst fucking thing ever. And which is fine. Like, right, the shit that everyone in that list, I would have like had a panic attack and curled up in a ball and never left my bed, you know, for the years. Like, I'd still be in therapy, like seeing one iota of what these people went through, and then he turns around and then continues this bullshit cycle of suffering, and he calls it love. And I think he was a coward. I am completely on board with this anti-natalist viewpoint.
Ryan, let me piggyback on that. Do you think that Lan and Nynaeve are planning their children? Hell no, they're not bringing kids. There's going to be a power couple that don't have kids. Same with any of them. I think Min would be like, nope, Rand, keep your seed away.
I mean, Nynaeve is like 25. She's probably
Maureen and Tom, if they could have babies, they would not.
No,
I think a lot of the people would choose not to have kids after this.
I disagree. I completely disagree with that.
Okay,
for Nynaeve, for sure, because her whole storyline, you know, involves, you know, wanting to get married and to have children and to raise a family or to protect or to whatever. So I think now that the last battle's done, this gives her, you know, this sort of carte blanche of, okay, we're going to rebuild Malkier. I'm a fucking queen. I'm an Aes Sedai.
She is with an extremely traditional.
She wants to have babies for sure.
All right.
And
I think she's most likely for Munchausen syndrome. She's gonna make him sick, heal him.
Well, she sees the world as the suffering is sort of over in a sense, you know, to a certain degree. I mean, she just went through the whole last battle, so at this point, it's kind of like, well, this world, whatever happens, couldn't possibly be as terrible as what I just went through. So,
Ryan, what you were saying earlier is, you know, you were saying that if you went through any of the things that these people went through, you know, one of those people that Rand was talking to, in fact, he probably was the cornerstone of the people that you were talking to, was Lan. All the shit that Lan had to go through. But when you think about Lan and you talk about how you would have not been able to go through this, but if you were Lan, you would have, because duty is heavier than a mountain.
I know, but he's not happy.
And death is lighter than a feather.
I know. And I think it was Rand's duty to like help everyone out.
That goes back to what I said. There's no blueprint here or creator here that said life was supposed to always be happy. You know, people go through struggle to get better. In fact, you can't even have a film or a movie or a book without conflict.
So, without down, there's no up, really.
Yeah, so and gosh, how many references can we make to the book? And that is the Aes Sedai symbol right there.
Well, let me get back to the natalism and anti-natalism. When I think about the Aes Sedai, and this is what this essay, it says, natalism and Aes Sedai, which is an interesting title because the Aes Sedai don't really come up much in this essay at all. It's more about Forsaken and Dark Friends. But but when I think about the Aes Sedai, they do not have kids. They swear off having kids. This is something that's normal for them. In life, it's normal for people to not have kids, and in fact, it's normal for people to like try really hard to have kids sometimes, and like have to go to a doctor and stuff.
No, we don't know that for sure.
But as far as like being anti-natalist, we don't think that no one should be having kids ever again.
Oh,
And
no, I agree with that. I'm talking about the Aes Sedai having children.
Oh, right.
In fact, have 3 different separate references that they might actually have children. In fact, Egwene...
The White Ajah thinks they should.
Yeah, but Egwene tells Elaine, I will check with the librarians to see if any of us have tried to do the oaths with a child to make sure. That says right there they don't know for sure if anybody has. Mm-hmm. And, you know...
But I think that the point's that, by and large, it's a pretty much a no-go thing.
It's a pretty much a no-go.
But one thing in the TV show, which, you know, and I did love the point that the Whites think that more Aes Sedai should be having... children just to repopulate channelers as a thing.
Mm-hmm. Just not them.
Well, yeah, them in fairness.
Varen did bring that exact thing up to Alvarin, and she did not.
While we have pregnancy within some of the major characters, pregnancy and childbearing isn't really in the stories at all. You don't see many pregnant people around. Like
in fairness, he wants to be around pregnant women.
We see 2.
I know they hunt him away, Dan, and give him milk.
Yeah, you send him off to the farm.
Yeah, we see 4 babies born, I believe.
They're laying down.
At least main character people.
But besides them, on the whole, we're not seeing pregnant people. And I guess I'm just trying to think natalism versus anti-natalism here. We have the White Cloaks. I don't think that they're necessarily. I think that they're not having kids mostly. Some of them do, but a lot of them probably don't. I think not having kids is pretty normal in this society. It's fine.
Yeah, Bornhold's, yeah.
Well, no. We know that Joachim Carradine had children.
Who got like tortured, right? Didn't they get all tortured up?
Yeah, his whole family died.
They got killed.
Well, I knew it was his whole family. I didn't know they were his children. I keep thinking about his sister. By the way, that's still my favorite.
The Fade told him, I'll kill a son first, and then a cousin, then this, then that. So he said he had a son.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. I still think that's one of the most underrated ideas of what a weird wedding that would be to attend, where it's just Mirdrau just coming left and right, just stealing like the whole members of his family. Very, very funny. Yeah. Also dark, but very
but
funny.
Pretty funny. Jacob Carradine. Carradine. Like, oh damn.
Time he got to Ibudar, he was getting letters of all of the misfortune that had bestowed.
Oh, yeah,
Ryan, Ryan, I'm with you with this. That anti-natalism is essentially, to me, a selfish way of thinking. Right? It's like, oh, I experienced this, and it's too gross for anyone to ever want to do ever again. Let's just stop it.
What do you think?
What do you think?
I feel like it's difficult because it goes in layers if we're talking about this philosophically. Like I believe that the idea of all of us having this sort of internal pressure to procreate is a holdover from when families needed to do that to carry on the name or to carry on the land and the titles and the nobility and whatever. And we haven't recognize that in ourselves, so we're still doing it. We're still trying to carry on our name, but there's really no reason to do that. In terms of like, there's nothing that if I, Aaron Stewart, have a baby, whatever, Chlamydia Champagne Stewart, and then and then he goes on to carry on my name. He's not carrying anything except my name and whatever I'm able to give him. And chlamydia at the end of my life, whatever I'm allowed to give him. So it's sort of, I don't know if that's because we're an American, we don't have that sort of aristocratic, system, or if it's just kind of, I think it is a holdover from that we're kind of like, oh yeah, yes, I'm giving, whatever I can to my upcoming generation. But for me personally, like, I don't want to have kids at all, ever. And so, there is no pressure in me to feel like, well, I have to, because if I don't, then something. And so, the family will die off, the name will go away, whatever it is that is that sort of internal DNA holdover. And I think that kind of makes us feel like we're supposed to, or like it's this, super precious thing, which it is. Like, I don't want to denigrate anybody who has children, and because but it's this thing that everyone's supposed to like treasure above anything. And the difference of the worlds is that we live in a world, and I think we alluded to this earlier, is in Randland, like, they have 100% self-assurance that whatever they do in this world is going to make that world a little bit better, hopefully, so that when they are recycled through the wheel or woven back out in the pattern, that they come into a world, I think that this is a reference from the television show, but it was beautifully stated that they come into the world and it's better than when we left it. And we sort of have that, but we don't have that 100% assurance that whatever we do in this world is going to make it better, so that when we re-enter it, it will be better for us in whatever form we take. We don't have that. And so we're sort of hoping that that's true, or that we become energy or a planet or a mutant or whatever. We're hoping something happens, that we don't just sort of die and then that is it. But for them, they do have this like thing. So I think when we think about the Forsaken and how they have this kind of, the reason it's considered evil is because it's kind of like the very nature of the world of Rand is the wheel of time, and is how it cycles. And for the Forsaken to be like, you know what, I wish this whole thing would just fucking break and end it all. Then everyone's like, and it's sort of the same reaction that people have when I'm like, I don't want to have any children ever. Then people who do want to have children sometimes and often are like, and so I think that's kind of the correlation, is that we just don't have that assurance that our self-awareness is going to become something, because we don't really have that as feedback yet.
I love those points.
I agree with you. I think that, so it's interesting that there's, I think the stigma with not having kids, I think there used to be a stigma that I don't think really exists anymore for the most part. I think if you have a shit ton of kids, that's where the stigma comes. If you have zero, people think, oh, they just want to party and enjoy their lives.
Dan, I believe but also you're not super religious, which is a huge issue for.
That's
for
my
a lot
Marvel
of people.
name. I am super.
But
religious.
I believe that, like, if you look at like the natural world around us and animals, what have you, there is a drive to continue on. And I believe that we have this genetically encoded within us, a drive.
In fact,
to
you
continue.
generally have to prevent procreation if you're doing
I know,
things
but
right.
but here, follow me through this. So, but also, we have something we've developed, or whatever it is, our fucking prefrontal cortex, whatever, our frontal lobes. We've developed the ability to be cruel on levels that the natural world is cannot fathom. And so just the act of being human, although I do believe we have like a vestigial drive to keep the species going on, like, in all sense of the word, if we were fucking gone from the planet would be way better off. And right, so the anti-natalist approach, it is super impractical, would never happen, and as Jansen brought up, possibly even dangerous if those thoughts were like in the wrong, like, power positioned people. All this, I imagine Peter Thiel's an anti-natalist. Fuck that guy.
Let me ask you guys a question.
Oh, go on.
So how do we label what's valuable, right?
Let me answer you.
What's the most valuable thing in the universe?
Me.
Yeah.
That's the winner. That's the winner.
No, yeah, I mean, like, what makes me happy?
Life.
Well, that's not
Everyone,
fair.
Jesus.
No, that's when I think you're right. The most important thing in the universe to everyone is me. It is me that we embody. The point of view that we're viewing life from.
Yes, they
Let me-
can.
People have
Okay,
sacrificed themselves for
As
others.
far
So
as the universe, the cosmos, and everything goes, like, what's rare? Probably the rarest thing I know. Well, the rarest object in the entire cosmos universe is wood, actually.
Mm.
But
I've got
what-
some now.
Me too.
Yeah.
So if you know, there are very few places where
Tennis
we
queen like that.
find human beings' life in general.
Uh,
So we're being arrogant saying that we're the apex,
Mhm.
right? Just because we can think and hurt people. We don't know, what other life is, what other life might be, or what other like things might do. And again, this
Uh-huh.
goes back to suffering. Like, people don't like to be hurt.
Yeah.
So they label that as the worst thing possible.
There's some crazy girls out there.
There's
So-
let
So, but
me-
it.
oh.
Well, I mean,
Brian,
like,
let me jump in. So
Yeah.
our mother, like, I remember growing up, and my mom would be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry that this world is so shitty. I can't believe that you're going to be born into this world."
Oh, no.
Like, she would tell me, she's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this."
Can't do
I'm
that.
sure she heard the same thing from her parents because there was nuclear stuff going on. I'm sure that our grandparents heard it from their great grandparents, like, "Oh gosh, the world is going to shit." And guess what? It doesn't. And in fact, for a lot of us, it's gotten better. I know
Yeah.
I'm standing on privilege, being like an American who, has a house. But I mean, but if we were to take the root of that away and just be like humanity as an animal, we'd be savages, right? We
Yeah.
have advanced, and
That-
there is suffering involved, though. So do we say that since not everyone is suffering now, only some, and hopefully we'll get rid of all suffering? Or do we just
I
say,
think
well, fuck
suffering's-
it, there's still people suffering, so
No,
it ain't working.
I would. So the only argument that I thought was strong in this article was when he said that if you took the anti-natalist approach to its logical extent, then there is no chance of it ever getting better. And I understand that, but also, if you look at the arc of human history, everything we know, like, there's nothing telling me that we're going to get better. There's nothing telling me that we're going to evolve past this situation where most human beings on earth are suffering immeasurably. And we can sit back and be like, yeah, like, well, maybe like we are privileged, we don't suffer, but literally most human beings on earth are suffering through means that are preventable in literally every way. So all of this wanton suffering is done to each other by humans. So it's like, I don't see that changing, and I think that's the arc of human history. That's what's been happening. I don't see it changing. We've tried religion, that's not working. We've tried fucking self-help, that's not working. What's going to work? We're all of a sudden this notion that we're all of a sudden going to be like peaceniks and not hurt each other. I don't see that
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah, I
let
think
me
I-
ask.
Life is filled with, like, something has to some degree get hurt for you to go to head. Not like, that's not a negative. If you eat something, all right, fuck it, obviously meat out, something has to suffer to that to happen. If you eat whatever it is, trees, wood, by the way, I heard is the most scarce thing out there. If you are making tea from bark, that tree has to suffer. That's just the nature of whatever
from bark.
you never like. Well, I'm trying to take something with wood. All right, I had to take my. That's the only thing I could go.
Yeah,
with.
no,
No, you're correct. You're
yeah.
correct. Something suffered so that I could enjoy this cup of tea.
There we go. So
No, yeah.
something has to, and then it becomes your mind of perspective, right? I mean, can you put the fact that yes, you must suffer to really deal with humans half the time? You get in traffic, fuck that. My wife comes home livid. There's no coitus for like 6 hours after she's driven anywhere.
Oh, I imagine.
And she drives every hour just to make sure I
just
can't
all
touch her.
clenched up.
Yeah. She's like, hey, honey, I go for a drive. Yeah.
Well, Deathswing, do you think that anti-natalism takes into account the actual suffering that would probably be the result of the waning of the human population from life? Holy cow. Go ahead.
That's a good question. I think I was thinking about this because there's something also in this chapter that says that most species that have lived on this planet are now extinct, and eventually humans, suffer or have the potential to also become extinct. And I think that is something that's in all of our minds at some point, on some level, is that we're headed somewhere, we're headed forward, but we're also destroying ourselves, and we're constantly creating situations that destroy ourselves. And I think we shot ourselves in the foot a tiny bit when we got access to the internet in the world, because before you could really hold on to hope and look around you and kind of live in a little bubble, in a sense. It was almost ignorance is bliss, because you only had access to the information on a smaller scale of the world. So maybe somewhere someone was like, there's, my mother was always like, there's starving people in Africa, so you've got to eat all your food. I'd never been to Africa. I didn't know anything about people in Africa. I just knew that they were all starving to death because I had not eaten my mashed potatoes. And so it had this effect where I was like, oh no, but I'd never seen it with my eyes or experienced it with my life. And now suddenly I have all of you fine people on my screen, and we're all in different places. And each of us could talk about what it is that we are suffering, or what it is that we're dealing with. Or we could tell a story, an adjacent story. It's a Kevin Bacon thing, really. So now we have access to the world, and suddenly the world suffering is massive, and it's too much for us to compute. It's too much for us to handle. And so I can absolutely see how people are kind of like, well, we should just blow the whole thing up. And, like, we're destroying it, it's very hard to get to a point where you almost feel like those little things of hope are not doing enough. It's almost like men's vision, like the fireflies are getting into the darkness, but it's not really illuminating and blowing up. It's fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. So it is still there, but it's not making a big enough dent that the darkness is like. And I feel like we feel like that a lot. And I think that lends itself to this idea that if we just stop populating, if humans would just get off the earth and quit fucking things up, then and that's that darkness. And the rest of the time we're kind of like, look at this puppy video. And it's that little firefly, trying its goddamnedest to really fight this thing. And I think those are just conscious choices that we have to make, because our innate human nature is still based in the fact that we're part of the animal kingdom, and we're sort of destructive in that sense.
Yeah,
I think philosophy is based mostly with people on their own negative experiences. I also think that calling this a philosophy when you are preaching this is a really, really, really easy way to take away accountability for having this philosophy.
It is interesting that philosophy is the science of life, right? Or the study of life.
The love of life.
And yet
love of wisdom.
This philosophical bent is actively pursuing the end of all life.
I mean, this is almost like, I almost feel like I want to be Elaine talking Gowan off of the boat. What is this, jealousy? Why are you so pissed off? Like, you're jealous. Well, no, like, because I can see me arguing with anyone with this philosophy and them saying, no, it's not because of that. No, it's not because of that. It's not. No, I don't care if that happened to me. Like, I know. So what? That doesn't mean that that's the reason I follow this. Like, I just see it as a cop out.
I agree.
Because, like you said, like one of us said, I don't remember, but it's like the strive to life. Life goes on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, Jansen. I mean, I don't think that I still think that this person wakes up and takes vitamins in the morning. I think that they're brushing their teeth and doing all that shit. They're not, you know.
I know,
Not
but
ready to
that's
spend it tomorrow.
I mean,
Writing
I feel
papers.
like these are different points. Like, yeah, like I see. I don't feel it as being such a negative thing. It's almost like an abundance of love to make such a huge choice.
In theory, there is the potential for that.
But it's only negative. It's not. You're right. I don't believe it's negative. It's only negative when you bestow that upon other people, because it's like if you want to take yourself out and not procreate,
your call, man.
have a nice day. You know,
Yeah. And I'm having a great time with it. No kids here.
I
No
love
kids
it.
there.
Look how beautiful it is outside.
But if you would have the
Light
philosophy
shining down on me.
everyone has to do that, you might become Jim Jones.
Mhm.
Which is a good thing, by the way.
Jono, how was no rub November for you?
Oh, it lasted till almost the second.
Okay.
Was that
And that's so
no
funny.
shave.
So the eights that die, like we've often criticized the White Tower for not like implementing some sort of breeding program to like keep it going. We never understood why that became like the culturally normative belief system of the White Tower. There's no real like history of it. It just is in a way, but also like. Do you think like the for like what there's been at least 2 Forsaken who've infiltrated the White Tower strongly, over the history of what's that, John? I love the hand raising.
Yeah, there's ample evidence of why Aes Sedai are not, and that's because
Longevity, right?
when you take the 3 O's, right, they kind of describe like their body is shrinking, they stay younger, everything. So one of the things that happens is and I'm gonna forget the damn term. I ruined my own joke. It was going to be, please help me. What is it when this is why you shouldn't be drinking for 9 hours? The hymen. There we go.
Okay.
Go on. Swain was not ready for hymen.
I said I'm of no help to you there.
And no, just and so therefore it's kind of it regenerates necessarily, and it's really just not a comfortable situation. That's why.
All right, Jansen.
Let's not forget
The yellow object.
that the Aes Sedai make up a very small part of the population who can channel that are having kids.
That's very true as well.
Out there, we've got thousands of wise ones. We've also got all the people in Shara. We've got tons of people out there. We've got people in the 2 rivers. Tons of people who can channel who are still procreating.
Mhm.
The White Tower just has the rule, and the kin also have the rule, which is
they get double that. Yeah, it's a very valid point, especially because I ruined my own joke, so I do apologize. From a second point that was kind of brought up, like one of the first things we mentioned about antinatalism. If let's say that, like, for whatever reason, the people in the Wheel of Time ceased having children, or at least to the same degree, just a lower birth rate, what would happen, right? Obviously, one of the things here is that everyone is respun out over and over and over. If that, how, is...
Yeah, the culling was false. There was no culling. There was no culling.
Well, they're also not spun out just spontaneously. Like, people don't just appear because
I mean, I guess that you have to
they're spun out through someone's vagina.
What about the thousands and like possibly millions of people that the Dark Lord like used to create like blades and shit? Right? Did they steal their soul?
Good point.
Well, remember,
those people are not coming back.
We do know.
I was disappointed to find out Balefire doesn't actually like just take you out. It's only like one turn of the pattern necessarily versus like forever.
Wait, what?
Yeah. It doesn't burn you out of the pattern completely. It allows you to. It takes you out. Just like you said, I'm repeating you. It takes you out for that cycle, but it does not destroy your soul.
You get thrown in the penalty box.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. It puts you gotta do 5th grade again, dummy.
For like 12 books.
Turn on the phone and then you have to go back to Ebudon.
We do know that there was a way that all of the crystals that started coming up the end of the last battle out of this ground.
Mhm.
The ones that almost killed Fail's group with the horn. They all had people inside of them.
Gross.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah,
That's why don't break geodes open. Be very
people
careful.
speculated that that's where the people from Balefire went after they got Bale.
Oh, weird.
That would suck.
Let me
when you
ask, so
fight a Trolloc, and then you have
is there a
Aunt
path?
Judy pop up?
Oh yeah, and you're like, oh god, ew.
Judy.
Oh. Is there a path for someone who holds antinatalist beliefs besides becoming a dark friend in Randland? Is there a path for this person going forward?
I mean, yes, as long as your antinatalist extends only to yourself, right? I mean, I think that maybe that's not antinatalist per se.
It,
Right.
Simply,
yes, it did in the Wheel of Time, an entire
yeah.
the Myanmar.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. The Maiar.
They all took themselves out. All of them, none of them were dark.
The
friends.
Amayar.
The
Yeah,
Myanmar.
Emma, there we go. We're 0 for 3. We're 1 for 3. Thank you. But yeah, and by the way, that's one of the things that if you remember, Robert Jordan was very disappointed in us readers for not being more creeped out by the mass suicide of a society.
People we never met.
Yeah. So who gives a shit?
Yeah, who gives a shit?
But I do
We
remember
love A.
reading that interview. There was something people did not appreciate this nearly enough to Robert Jordan's mind that when the crystal fucking glue at the end of book 9 on Tremalking, and they just all offed themselves, that people weren't more just fucking uncomfortable.
Well, that's
you think
that goes to, he may have been upset about it, and God forbid I say something wrong about the guy himself, but that's Robert Jordan's fault for not writing it correctly enough for us to feel that.
Well,
And the
overnight,
only way we got that is when Logain.
He's turning over in his grave because of you. Thanks a lot.
very
I think
slowly.
like
when
we didn't.
Logain went
It's
to see folk, they spent too much time talking about her punishment than what happened to them.
yeah, and we didn't get to this exact thing. We didn't get to meet the Amayar enough to invest in a mass genocide. If the Aiel or the Aes Sedai had been eliminated completely, that would have fucked us up.
Ooh, if
But
the Aes Sedai, mass suicide.
yeah,
Fuck
but the Amayar, which is kind of like,
Mass unaliving.
that's terrible.
Unaliving, guys.
I'm not leaving them. So sorry.
Sorry.
But the Amayar, it's sort of as a reader, we're kind of like, oh, that's really awful. I wonder who that.
Yeah, we also have no idea how big is the
What were they all
mass.
about?
No offense, not that should matter, but it's just a mass of dozens or
Entire
hundreds,
islands.
thousands.
Well,
And,
we
I
know
would say
that
at least tens, if not
They
hundreds
were-
of thousands.
they were
like the-
stranded at the Age of Legends, and
Yeah,
the Sea Folk made a pact with them to protect them.
yeah.
And so once they found safety, they didn't want to leave their islands, and they started making Sea Folk porcelain and and the Sea Folk they're the only people that got a free ride anywhere they wanted.
That is technically the real issue. Is long term, there's no good pottery.
Yep. Only porcelain.
Where is the line drawn? And I'll ask you guys, where's the line drawn between apocalyptic thoughts and antinatalism?
I guess
I think
cause.
it's levels. Go on.
Is it so? So this genocide of the Anmar was more or less
Oh my God.
a drastic. No, but this was apocalypse stuff. This was they saw a sign and they had to react.
It opened
a
up their
certain way.
eyes.
This
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily trying to just end humanity, but
Mhm.
I think it may have been, right?
It was the end of illusion.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jensen.
I just said it was the end of illusion to them. And just like the Aiel, they wanted to wake up from this dream.
Yeah, this is some Jonestown shit. We'd mentioned that earlier, but this is the full on
Yeah, this was Jonestown.
yeah.
Well, you
No,
think
no.
half of them weren't convinced and had to be forcefully convinced, just like Jonestown.
I think
audience.
That'd be a
to-
dark chapter.
Yeah.
This is to marginalize. I mean, like, so this is just like a little, like a soft core, like ad hominem abusive. You're just like making fun of the argument, and it's an uncomfortable argument to like hold. But like anyone who's like, so we can't assume this guy's had a bad childhood. We can't assume. We got to take the argument for what it is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's impractical for sure, but it's not like out of the pale to say that when you like look at the world and you look at humanity, that the best choice would be for us to stop having kids. That's not above the pale. And I also, the other counterpoint is, why are we having kids? And are we literally are we literally having kids just so that, in hopes that our progeny make the world better? Is that why? Because in light of the data, like,
Procreation of the species.
Mhm.
Right. I mean,
Yeah,
like I
it's-
said
it's
before, you have
selfish.
to prevent it. If you're doing stuff in a basic, normal way, you have to take means to prevent procreation. It's going
or
to
take care of it
happen.
afterwards. Yeah.
Well,
You know,
we're able.
so yeah, go
We're
for it.
able to think about this stuff because we have
Mhm.
self-awareness, but we are animals. And I know a lot of people hate that idea, but we are part of the animal kingdom. And so within our, molecular structure and DNA is the drive to continue the species. You'll find that in any animal, deer, jaguars, zebras, whatever.
Yeah, but in
everybody's trying to reproduce. We're just able to think about it and try to figure out.
I know, but there's a lot of animal shit we've had to like. Okay, like I might want to attack somebody.
Sure, some people do.
Like I might want to
deer,
attack and like eat a chubby baby. I don't know.
Mhm.
Like I don't do that because I'm not an animal. But like to say that, like, oh,
that eat
we're all gonna continue to do this unquestioned thing. We're gonna make probably the biggest decision of your life is to create another life, and either that person's gonna live 100 years of happiness or not.
Mhm.
Like that's a huge choice. We do it
For a lot of-
unquestioningly.
Well, I think
For
there
a
is
lot
a
of people
difference.
that are not religious, when people say what is the meaning in your life, it's like, well, I had kids. I got my kids, and that's going to be passed on, and it kind of ends at that, right? You did your part. You passed. You received some genes, and you sent them forward, and that's like kind of. I mean, that is what life is. That's what every flower opens in hopes that a bee comes and shakes its little ass on its petals so that it could spread it.
Yes,
it
please.
could just spread
I
it.
can tell you guys,
this is what life is.
I've lost 2 children, and I found absolutely no peace in that. So,
Yeah,
for what it's worth, I didn't find any happiness there.
Well, absolutely,
follow on to that.
Yeah, and if I need to, I'm happy to say like this is nothing to do with anyone's personal choices on screen, anyone's watching. I'm literally doing a philosophical thing right now, and just arguing the merits of a crazy thing. But yeah, like no, fuck yeah, like everyone's child is precious.
Absolutely.
Make them.
Right.
But
I mean, but it does seem that ignorance equals procreation, intelligence equals decision making, right? And the more intelligent we get, the more we have these options, like Aaron said, to actually make these choices. Whereas if we're at a base level, this is all we do. You want to fuck? Let's do it. Boom, boom, boom,
it's the easiest thing in the world. In fairness,
you walk away. Yeah.
Somebody should have a condom company, then it should just say nanotopite on it.
Nanotopite, what is that?
My new condom company.
Oh, okay.
Nanotopite.
I will invest.
All right, that's hilarious. All right, well, I think this has been a great conversation. I'm happy to end it on these high notes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything anyone wanted to say?
I've legitimate. So again, this is my first time cracking this book open. What's the background, the auspice for all this? Like, I'm when you said like, hey, I forget who texted me. It was Dan or Ryan. Like, we're covering this, and if you dumbasses want to come on the show, and I'm like, God damn, 2 o'clock. Usually no, but because apparently I'm well more than 40. But hooray! But so what? What is this? I'm
Some
bought it
big-headed
immediately.
college graduates wanted to be published.
Oh, like what
It
is
is-
this book?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a part of a series of books. There's a bunch of them,
Yeah.
Jono, apparently. There's
Yeah.
like Harry Potter and philosophy and Star Wars and
Stephen
philosophy.
King and
and
philosophy.
Dune and yeah, all kinds of stuff and philosophy books that have essays that that these people just contribute, and it's a collaboration, I guess, of or not a collaboration, but rather a what is it? Coalition?
Collaboration,
Compendium.
that's the right word. Yeah.
Compendium, something.
Collection.
Collection. That's
'Cause I'm fascinated by it
College
because, and good for you guys for like picking up on it, because there's so much random shit out there, and like I mean this in a very positive way. The thought-provoking, different way of like looking at the Wheel of Time. We're doing the comics right now, and I'm
Ooh.
reading them and looking at them, and I'm sitting here like, who the fuck were these made for? Because the Wheel of Time comics they're way too big. Like there's like a dozen issues for every book, which means if you were to extrapolate, there'd be more than 144 quickly.
Did they make
Jesus.
more?
nope.
They made for New Spring, Eye of the World, and then they stopped like two issues into The Great Hunt.
Right. Yeah.
So I have every single one
Mhm.
with the exception, and you've seen, and Ryan has seen this.
Yeah.
I have every single one except book 3 with Tom Maryland juggling on it.
Hmm.
Of the comics. I was
Yes.
because
I have
I was
the
like, well, they didn't make it in book 3. Yeah. So
Except
yeah.
that one comic book.
So I think that's probably available somewhere. So whoever wants to buy Jansen one. But like, so my point is like, there's so much material out there, and every time I'm always like, who's this for? The answer is for podcasts and shit like us, and I love that. I'm very glad this type of stuff exists, and I'm always just fascinated by it. So that's the auspice. I appreciate that. That was literally as soon as I like got the book, I opened it. I was like, why?
Yeah. Why? Yeah. No.
These essays have been fun. The last essay was a little disappointing. This person had watched the show and didn't know the book, so was doing like a show-based thing that was confusing about Tom Maryland. But
Well, they'll be canceled.
I like these things. This is what we always wanted to do. I mean, this is like we always talk deep stuff, even if we're stupid puppets. Like with our books, like we dig in. We're like, well, why? What is going on here? Why?
What is the deal with that?
Yeah, so if there's scholarly plus Wheel of Time equals Brother Dan is in.
Yeah,
I mean, I fucking love it. So I'm definitely. I wish I had taken time in my busy day of drinking for no reason to read.
Yeah.
I know
me
it's
too.
like 7 pages
too.
long. It must have been too
It really
daunting.
was. I feel very bad about that. I'll read a 800-page Wheel of Time novel, but I'm not fucking putting down 7 pages of this. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
If you read the chapter, you can come on next week, Jono. But you gotta put the effort in. We're all doing it.
I'll see what I can do.
We're all
I do
doing it.
apologize
Come on,
to
bud.
the audience, to my
Come on,
bud.
panelists here. Yeah.
Hey, everyone, did you notice that there was no ads while you're watching this? That's right.
Wow.
Tavern Talk is being brought to you ad-free, so if you want to support the channel, please like, subscribe, and then join our Patreon or become a YouTube member. That's where all the good stuff happens.
Yeah.
But until then, anybody have anything to promote? Jono, talk about your what you guys are talking. Oh, you already did. You're doing the
I unintentionally plugged myself, if you know what I mean. There's a small kind of
Tuesdays
plug.
at 9.
8:30.
8:30.
Although, we don't actually start talking about anything relevant until about 9:30, and then
But
Is
then
that
you'll
when
miss
Tom
Tom if
leaves?
you get in there. He's
yeah, that's when
always
Tom
gone by
fucks off. Yeah.
then.
Okay. Yeah, and how long have you guys been doing this as a podcast?
I don't know. I think 2011 or 2010.
20 odd years. Yeah.
It's really dumb.
Amazing.
It's
14
a
years.
disturbingly long amount of time.
Yeah.
And we've gotten worse at it. It's really the magnificent thing. Like, we've gotten worse
Yeah.
as a podcast. It gets worse every year.
Yeah. You guys are going to be able to drink legally soon as a podcast.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
We're looking forward
Jansen,
to
you
it.
got anything exciting you want to tell us?
Not right
Oh, you
now.
can't.
Just
You got NDAs.
pilot season auditioning and trying to get something.
Good luck, man.
Thanks.
Yeah. I hope you get some.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
All
Send
of
us
us.
the
I
videos,
hope
dude.
everyone gets some.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
All right. Did Datswain freeze? No, he's still there. He's blinking.
No, I'm still here.
All right. All right. Anything to plug?
Not at the moment. I will be finished with my restaurant managing training this week, and then I'll have more of a consistent. I know I keep saying I'm doing shit, but my life is so busy, and so once this week is over, I'll have a much more stable schedule, and then I can start pumping out content that I keep saying I'm going to pump out. But
You know what?
I
We
pumped
should
out
just not
content
have
twice
life
today.
at all. Why even have babies?
Why?
Life is so busy.
why bother?
Well, speaking of babies, I've got to get to mine.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's a great way to put it.
Very nice.
All
I
right,
hope you guys had a good
everyone.
Thanksgiving, y'all.
Yeah, tune in next week for Chapter 5, Real Time and Philosophy. Everyone, our philosophy here has been and will always be, run for your lives! This is the way of the leaves.